All right, welcome back to the Chicago Tomahawk. We should. It looks like we're live on Twitter and I'm sorry, X. Man, it's so hard to get used to seeing something different. Going from Twitter to X and YouTube. Anyways, welcome to the show. What Matt wanted to do. I'll start this off. I want to thank all of our listeners and people that follow us. Me and Matt, how long we've been doing this for? About this is our fourth or fifth season. This is our 241st podcast. So we've been doing this for quite a bit. And, we've met a lot of cool people on here, a lot of people who love the Blackhawks who are essentially fans the same way that we are. This past weekend, we had some dickhead trying to tell people that, they're, what did he say? They're ruining the journalistic integrity of journalism or something like that. What a pretentious thing to say about people who are talking about sports. It's not like we're talking about like somebody published a paper on how stem cells are improving people with knee injuries or something, or something that's really important. We're talking about hockey, and everybody has a right to get on here or do whatever they want and talk about hockey. And it absolutely drives me nuts when we have people out there who want to essentially take people's voice away, and and like I said, it's not like we're cutting the news here, and even if we were cutting the news here, who gives a shit? So what was that fucking guy's name, man?
Oh,
It's
Bobby
okay.
Hill?
Don't worry about it. Hey, dickhead, I'm talking to you, man. I think that you write for, or you're on the rink or something like that. We don't appreciate you getting on your soapbox and telling people, hey, don't listen to these guys. They're terrible. Or calling out, who was it, Riz? Hey, don't listen to this guy. And Riz, I think he's got like 2.9 thousand followers. And it just drives me up a wall when you have these people, these pretentious people who are trying to be gatekeepers in some way, and maybe trying to suck up to, I guess what you call um, the establishment, which would essentially be like the Blackhawks, and we can call CHGO, right under them, because they typically are, they're kind of like outlet for, Hawks News. They have players on there all the time, and they have a lot of. I think they're like pretty much the score, and they have like a lot of fans, but we're not telling people don't listen to the score, you know. So I don't know why somebody else would be coming out telling us not to, telling people not to listen to us. Anyways, um, whatever your name is, dude, fuck you. And I want to thank, like a lot of people that we talked to on here, like Alex Smith. He's freaking awesome. The Brush Line, he's awesome. Riz, Q the Dagger. Ovi Clapbomb. I know he can't. He usually hits the nail on the head with a lot of his takes.
Yeah.
Puck and Hostile makes me laugh, man, because he
He's a
stirs the
good
pot.
dude.
He stirs the pot quite a bit.
Yep.
And the Ringside General, there's a lot of guys out here that are talking hockey and they're giving good takes, and they're doing their thing. And I hope these guys continue on doing their thing and keeping at it. And I don't know. I guess we could be like the gatekeeper, dickhead police, or something like that. So that's pretty much what I got to say about it. What about you, man?
I said what I needed to say on X.
Yeah, you did an
You
awesome
know what?
job.
Say what you need to say about us. That's cool, dude. But like, just like two dudes having fun.
Yeah,
Like, give me a break,
I'm doing
dude.
this semi aerobic, so it should show you how much I really.
You're ruining the integrity of this whole podcast with
I,
that
I
shirt.
think that I am,
Yeah,
and that's so
that's.
freaking laughable. I'm gonna start using that
uh,
line right now
yeah,
on
I don't know.
anything.
I like you said, a couple guys on here are really cool. Uh, Always liking stuff we post and talking about something. Sometimes they disagree. My buddy Q the Dagger, we probably butt heads all the time, but it's respectable. It's civil. And like I said to him, I'm like, dude, you're a pain in my ass, but like if we were at a bar, I'd buy you a round of beers, and we'd probably be good buddies after that. You know?
I think that it's pretty awesome that people do have differences of opinion. What would it be if we're all in this echo chamber, essentially saying the same thing to everybody? It wouldn't make it interesting, and
No,
it wouldn't make what we're doing fun.
it'd be like the last 4 years living in America, and it's boring.
You're going down the rabbit hole with that one.
Yep.
But yeah, let's start the podcast, man. The Blackhawks lost. They lost that first game to the Islanders. I think Sorensen is, from what I've seen so far, has had a good effect on these guys on this team. Um, he knows a lot of them because a lot of them are young. I mean, I think Alex of Vlasic, man, is really blooming. I mean, I've said this on the last two podcasts, but I've been watching games, and this kid just keeps on getting better and better. I love his game. Korchinski, I think, when his first game looked absolutely great. I think he's skating good. He's making better decisions than he did on his last stint with the Blackhawks. I think they need to leave him up. I've said this before. I think he should be paired with Nolan Allen. Nolan Allen, man, I think goes out there and tries to do the right thing.
Steady
and,
Eddie. Yeah.
and he doesn't really get noticed very much. And I think that that's awesome because if you're not getting noticed, that means that you're doing something right. And really appreciate that. Connor Bedard is really starting to get going. It's really good to see him shooting the puck. He's been hitting the post a lot, man. But sooner or later, those bangers are going to start going in, and he's going to go on a run. So, Matt, have you noticed? Is there anybody standing out to you since Sorensen has taken over that it seems like maybe like the leash is kind of taken off?
I think probably Taylor Hall and Tuzi. They're
Yeah,
kind of producing well. And then Tevu last game had 3 points. That's
he
good
was a
to see. You're
madman.
spending money on these guys, and they're starting to produce looking good. Kind of weird. They had Tevu on the fourth line, but hey, sometimes they have Reichel and Smith on the fourth line, and those guys rip it up. So
Yeah,
whatever works at this point. I like Korchinski's game. I think he's got that nice long stretch pass that he's been doing, and man, he can really hit the guys right on the tape. I really like that.
the Blackhawks. Something that they've had such a hard time with the past couple seasons is special teams. PK, power play have both been equally atrocious, but coming in this season, man, they've really shored things up. I think in the last 24 power plays against on the Blackhawks, they've killed all of them. I believe right now they're ranked fifth in the league in power play, and they've been producing on the power. I'm sorry, they're ranked fifth on the penalty kill, and I'm not sure what they're ranked on the power play, but it's much better than it was last year. I guess anything's better than
Oh yeah,
being in the bottom four of the league.
goaltending, man. The
Goaltending
goaltending
is
strong. You got a good penalty kill, and that helps. Honestly, Soderblom, I think he's having a great year. Last year, people were like, "Get rid of this bum,"
yeah.
and goaltending. It takes longer. It took Crawford a long time to get going. Not many kids get drafted and make it to the show. They got to pay their dues in the minors and stuff like that. But wait till Mrazek and the kid we got from the Jets come back. He had a surgery right before camp. He's supposed to be a stud too. The kid we sent him, I'm blanking on his name.
Brossois.
Brossois, yeah. But Comesso, man, he looked good against Jersey. It kind of sucks you're thrown into the fire against a high-fueled
Top team.
offensive team. In 40 minutes, the Hawks looked great. They were skating with them. Just kind of fell apart. Jack
That's
Hughes
kind of a
kind of
good
took
test
over.
for him, though, man. It's like, hey, man, this is what a top team in the NHL looks like. Give him a taste for that. I think that was kind of a good idea.
Why not? At this point, see what he's got. 40 minutes, he looked good. Maybe even longer than that. It's just that veteran present. Now they're vets. The Devils, they've been together for a while. They're so fast. They took over. They took
Yeah,
advantage of all the mistakes, and Hughes kind of took over that game.
Nico Hischier looked pretty good too.
Yeah, and that Brett fast and good defense. Jacob Markstrom was in net. I think
Yeah,
I got him on fantasy. He's been pretty good for me this year,
Luke Hughes looked pretty good too.
except for that shot off the face.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, he took that shot off the face.
we appreciated that one. But yeah, they're a good team, man. They're scary. I don't know. I don't know if they're a cup contending team yet, but definitely a playoff team.
I don't think that if they were to go to the playoffs, I don't think that they could get past Tampa Bay.
Yeah, right now Tampa's on, dude. Everybody was pissed off, including me, how they handled the whole Stamkos thing. But replacing him with Gensel, this guy's on fire, man. He's almost at 20 goals. I think Braden Point is at 20 goals. Brandon Hagel, the one that got away, I always say, he's ripping it up. He made Team Canada. That's a big deal, man. So, yeah, that and Vasilevsky, still the best goalie in the league, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think he is too. A lot of people say Shosturkin is, and yeah, I think that he is very good.
Not since he
But
signed the dotted line, man.
but I think Vasilevsky has been steady since day one, and
Yep.
he doesn't necessarily have bad days. One thing I did want to mention is that the CHSN app is now on Apple TV. I downloaded it the other day. I watched the Blackhawks game against the Islanders on Sunday on the CHSN app on Apple TV, and it worked great. There weren't I didn't have any buffering issues. The resolution looked really good, and other than some of the coverage, and the intermission, but it was good, and I liked it. I think that getting used to this is definitely going to be very a big deal for a lot of people, especially for people who have been using cable traditionally, and they think that because that they paid for cable that they were getting sports for free. You haven't been. You've been paying a $19 regional sports fee for God knows how long. It's essentially the same price as getting the Blackhawks, but that's only for one team. I don't know how many. We're really going to see how many people are really looking to get Bulls package or the Blackhawks package, considering the season that the White Sox just had. Man, I think that it's really hard to
No.
ask people to pay 19.99 so that you can watch the Chicago White Sox.
You should get $20 a month for
Yeah,
watching
man.
that team.
I think that's rough to ask
That's a
people.
tough
But
ask.
it is what it is. There was an article on Hockey News about other teams and what they're doing for their sports. Essentially, a lot of other teams are doing the same thing. They're getting their own standalone app to get out to their fan base, and this is the new thing. I think that because there's so much cord cutting that these cable companies can't really afford to keep on buying these sports packages because the sports packages are the most expensive, and that's really what a lot of people are buying cable for. They're getting it for their local sports. So this is it's not going to change. This is how it's going to be going forward. I mean, yeah, it is rough to pay 19.99 when you've got a product on the ice that isn't exactly lighting it up. But since Sorensen's taken over, I think that the offense has definitely peaked up, and we're looking at change from this team. So, what do you think, Matt? Man, do you think that there's like what would be like? What do you think a happy medium would be for the consumer for the Blackhawks? It's been a bad rollout, from them. They should have had all of this straightened out before the season started. I mean,
Preseason should have been the test run.
yeah, we're 2 weeks into the season, and as of 2 days ago, I just got the app on my Apple TV.
Yeah, I mean, what do the Cubs charge?
19.99.
That's like the rate now. So
Yeah,
I think the Cubs. I don't have it, but I hear good things. I hear that you could watch. I believe the AAA team. What is it? The Iowa Cubs. Can you watch like prospects and stuff?
yeah, I think so. Yeah,
They got like cool features. I don't know what the CSN stuff has. Can I access it any time?
yeah,
It's just my thing is I love the Hulu package. I think
yeah.
it's great. I could watch any team I want except the team I love. It's
Right.
just that just doesn't make sense to me. So
Yeah,
I'm still on the radio. I'm old school. John Weideman and Troy Murray are
they're
narrating the
great,
game for
man.
me in my mind.
Yeah, they are. They're absolutely great. It's just one of those things, man, where we're in a changing landscape,
Yeah.
now, and we don't really have much of a choice.
Yep, I'm probably sooner or later gonna sell out, but right now I'm happy with my Hulu. I'm hoping something gets worked out where somehow ends up on Hulu or whatever. But I've been watching a lot of Tampa. I watched Mackenzie Blackwood's first game last night with the Avalanche. He got a W. That team is back.
Yeah,
And you
man.
know who's back? I think the Edmonton Oilers are back. They're on a heater. I think a 6-game win streak. I think they're playing the Panthers right now. I'm not sure the score, but that's a big game, big Stanley Cup rematch of last year. Um, yeah, man. I just I'm sooner or later I'll probably get it,
Okay.
but yeah, you wish the team was a little bit better for $20 a month.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks because you can essentially get all of the NHL games for 16.99 on Hulu with
Yep,
ESPN and Disney,
yep.
and that's for 16.99. But get this, the Blackhawks don't even make up the price, man. The distributor that distributes their feed does, so they don't even have a say in it.
Yeah, I just feel like you said, it's been botched. This should have been priority number one with the management. I
Right.
mean, you're at one point we were like back in the '90s. Like, are we only going to get to watch away games? Now we don't even get to watch any games. So it's one of those things. And I saw a cool tweet, yes, or actually it was today. Do you miss home games? The whites, the
You
white.
know what? It's funny that you mentioned that because
I
when
saw that, and
I was with my family,
yeah,
and they were like, "Hey, are the Hawks home or are they away?" And I didn't see the center of the ice yet, and I was like, back in the day, they didn't
you
wear
look
red
at
at
the
home; they
colors.
wore white,
Yeah,
and they wore red away. And my kid was like, "What?
I,
Really?"
I that's how I grew up, and they
Yeah,
changed that right. I believe after the lockout of '06 or '05, and they started wearing the darks. I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool. But then I'm like, I kind of miss it. I thought white was always home.
yeah.
But I think today is the anniversary, the date they made that decision.
Oh, really?
So yeah, so I hate it. I wish they'd go back. I think the whiteouts would be cool at home.
Really?
Yeah.
I like the red, man. The red is
The
so.
red's beautiful, but
It
to
is.
me it
How
was
about
always the
black?
away.
How about they wear black at home?
Black was home. That was like
Yeah,
the once in a while you run into a team like Montreal or Detroit, they'd throw the blacks on because
yeah,
the colors were close or something. I don't know what it was, but I just thought I thought white was cool. And
yeah.
you know what? I always see these old videos of really good guys that post old school videos of Roenick scoring the last goal with the small Indian head logo
Yeah,
and no NHL emblem on the collar. It just looks
yeah.
so good. And the jerseys were tucked. The guys don't tuck the jerseys anymore.
No,
And
Nazar does.
I don't think you're supposed to. I think it's a rule now. You're not
Oh,
allowed to
really?
tuck. Yeah, so
Why is that?
I don't know. I don't know. They just want everybody to look the same and no characters. Like Ronick's back jersey tuck, it looks sweet. He had the high pants on, and Tony Amani had his tucked in. And sometimes his jersey would just blow with the speed. The wind would blow it back.
Yeah,
I miss those days.
yeah. That's funny. I always wore suspenders, so
Okay.
I was always like, how does he tuck that in? Because it always
Yeah,
just
you can't.
pops out for
Yeah.
me. But you
So
need
you were
the
old school. Jeez, you were old school.
yeah, man. I had the old gear.
I well, I had a pretty large chest protector, so I had actually I had to put a Velcro to push it down because I look like a Ninja Turtle if I didn't. So I'd Velcro it down and I wouldn't look as like poofy.
Sure.
But I would tuck. I used to tuck my jerseys because they were too big. I was like
Oh.
5'4", 5'6" up until high school, so I would tuck it in. And then of course we got you the goalie cut jersey. I'm like, oh thanks. I'm gonna have to tuck it in again. So I've always tucked. Yeah. Yep.
So, man, you were mentioned earlier to me about there's a possibility of Nashville tearing it up because there's essentially two teams that are being talked about right now. New
Not
York,
completely. I think they're gonna have to. I heard Ryan O'Reilly's name, which I think a lot of playoff teams would love him.
yeah,
He's a face-off guy, penalty kill guy, power play guy. He's a big playoff game guy. He was huge with St. Louis. I just never understood I never understood that signing by Nashville, honestly, and I really didn't understand Stamkos either. But I mean, if I'm Stamkos and someone's offering me $8 million a year, I'm yeah, heck yeah, with a good tax rate and going to make more money and everything. But yeah, if I'm Nashville, I'm definitely thinking Ryan O'Reilly for sure. I'm gonna get some assets for him.
Yeah, I would honestly like him on our team, man. I mean, we need somebody who can win faceoffs.
Yeah, but we're not going anywhere for a while, and I don't see it. I mean,
He's already won a
he'd
cup
be a
though.
great leader in the locker room
Yeah, he is.
for sure. But I think a team like trying to get over that hump, like
Like Toronto, but he's done that already.
I could see Winnipeg. You know, they're always favorites, and bringing him would be pretty interesting. Toronto already tried; it failed. But even Edmonton, just it's got to work with the cap though. A lot of these teams are just up against the cap, so it's going to be
Yeah.
difficult.
So what about New York?
Oh,
Are they
jeez.
are they in complete burn it down mode or?
So I told you earlier I listen to XM every day at work. I got it on the app on my phone, and I love Mick Kern. Uh, I forget what the show was called, but it's Mick Kern. He's the host, and he's awesome. And this Ranger fan called in, and the Ranger fan warned Mick. He's like, "This is gonna be a big rant." He said, this is gonna be huge. Just let me go. Just let me go with it." And this guy started tearing into everybody in New York. Everybody. No one was safe. And I typed to at Mick. His handle's at Expo Mick. I'm like, this rant is epic. And Mick liked it within 3 seconds. So when this guy finished his rant about everybody, he wants Messier taken over. He wants Scott Stevens to be the defensive coach because what they have sucks. He goes, Shesterkin signs this big deal. He sucks. Uh, Zibanejev's been a ghost. We're scratching guys, blah, blah, blah. Goodbye. He hung up. And Mick Kern goes, wow, even the Tomahawk, a Chicago Blackhawks fan, is saying how great of a rant that was. And I'm like, we finally made it big, you know? And I
Yeah.
texted you right away.
Yeah, man.
And dude, it's panic mode in New York. It's insane.
You know, it's kind of crazy, man. You know, a couple years ago we were talking like, hey, you know what? This team doesn't have as much time as they think that they have. They should be in win now mode. And they weren't. You know, they got bounced by the Devils in the first round 2 years ago, which was a complete surprise.
Yes, it was.
And I mean, nobody expected that to happen, man. That was probably. I wonder how the books were for that. When because I personally thought that New York was going to win that, and they didn't, and that was really bad. And it seemed like
Yeah.
nothing was stopping Florida last year, nothing at all.
No, they were too good. But you know what? I don't get a couple of the moves. Jacob Truba, love him or hate him, he still would help this team on defense. And they gave him a no trade clause, and they threatened him with waivers, sending him down, or trade or you're gonna get waived. And you know he's like, I'm a pro. I'm not going down. You know
Yeah,
I'm not an AHL guy. So they traded him. I thought that they did him a little dirty. If you're gonna hand out no trade movements, you got to respect it. He already said no at the beginning of the season.
they're
Uh,
like, we got to move you, dude.
I understand. Yeah, you got to free up some cap space because you want to pay your goalie big bucks. He hasn't been that good, man. This
Yeah.
year he's still a top goalie for sure, but he's just having trouble, and the team defense is not good either. Uh, we got a lot of New York buddies on here, and they're always like, yeah, there something's going on, and I thought the Lafreniere extension was pretty fair, but a lot of people were unhappy about it. Panarin, we love him. He's a Blackhawk. He was a Blackhawk. We know what he's capable of. He's just getting better every year, but guy can't do it alone. Uh, Vinny Trocheck, I liked him. You know, I thought that was a good signing for those guys. Good like a top one or two center if you need him to bounce, and he could play a little defensively. But I don't know what you do, man. I think the window's closed because if they don't do anything this year, that contract's kicking in with New York next year, and it's gonna probably force a guy out. And I'm assuming it's at Mika Zibanejad because he's been bad too. I read all these Rangers stuff and they're very unhappy. It's big panic mode, and the guy even said, "You're making me want to go to the Islanders." I'm like, "Oh, that's even worse."
Oh
The mushy middle, like every year is the same with these guys. And you know what
man,
they were saying? They're the top rated face-off team in the NHL.
the
How
Rangers.
are they not dominating the game?
Wow.
They have no finishers at all. And Patrick Waugh, did you see him after the game? The Hawks almost came back and won. He
Yeah,
goes,
he was.
"Back in my day, if you gave up on me like that, I'd break my stick over somebody." And I kind of threw out, you know what? I'd like to see Patrick Waugh get an interview here. I know a lot
Mm,
of people are like, "Oh, no, 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 stay away from that. That guy's a psycho." But sometimes you need a guy like that. I think he truly believes in his players. He cares about them like Torts. I think he would do good things. And if maybe they're gonna keep this guy and do the next man up routine, like Davidson's been doing. It's what was it, Colleton, Richardson, and
well, it
now
was. It wasn't his call on Colleton.
that was a Bowman. Yeah,
Yeah, it
yeah,
was a
but
Bowman thing.
it's like the next man up routine. But
Right.
yeah, I think we need to get an old school guy in here. Maybe kind of get some guys, get the most out of the guys. I think this guy's doing a good job now, but clearly he's good with young talent, and
Yeah.
it's showing. But you know what? You kind of want those guys in the minors because they set you up when they're ready to go. You just send them up, and it's like, this guy did a great job developing these guys. So
Right.
something I probably like to see. But hey, why not Patrick Waugh? Give him a look.
What if the Blackhawks completely turn it around and they turn into, because they were a dog shit team for a long time. What if they turn it around and they become, say, an average team? In other words, they take a step forward. Do you think that Sorensen is that guy, the for now guy, but not essentially the
Like the setup man before
yeah,
you get the finisher. Yeah.
yeah,
I don't know, man. I don't know if probably they're not spending a lot of money on coaching. Usually, this is like the third coach in a row where it's been his first ever experience. So
yeah,
yeah, I don't know, man. I think I'd like to see the Hawks kind of take the next step. Maybe sign a good coach, experienced coach, or somebody who's got a different vision and can get more out of the players. And I'd like to see him spend at July 1st next year for sure. If not, bring in a guy. I don't know if you guys remember Dale Talon. He would stockpile draft picks, and one year he made a big trade. He traded Mark Bell for Marty Havlat. I think it was a three-way trade with Ottawa and San Jose, but Havlat was electric, man. Getting a guy like that at the time, that was like that was a big deal for the Hawks. And I think Davidson should start considering, hey, I gotta help this team. I got young guys coming up, but you still need more skilled guys,
yeah.
preferably young skilled guys that aren't getting the chances on the team that they're on now, or just not need a change of scenery type of thing. But even if Mitch Marner makes UFA status, if Toronto's crazy enough not to re-sign him, I'd be in all over this guy because I have him on fantasy. He is ripping it up for me this year.
What if, I mean, we've been saying this for years. What if they get bounced in the first round this season?
The Maple Leafs,
Yeah.
it could happen. Uh, they've been doing the same thing every year. They're just relying on those big dogs to bail them out. But I feel the goaltending, it's good. It's way better. The team defensively is better. I I just don't agree with bringing in a goalie that was a backup on a Stanley Cup winning team every year and hoping he's a starter. Nothing against Stollarts, he's a good goalie. I just think in the playoffs it's a different animal. And if you run into Tampa, you're fucked.
Yeah.
Sorry, you're facing a battle tested team, and they're hungry for it again. They're reloaded. Hagel's like a new guy. Jake Gensel's got experience. He's actually a Stanley Cup champion. That was a great move by the GM of Tampa. So it, I think you gotta move him. Tavares is actually having a good season this year.
Yeah, he is.
I think it's his last year of his mega deal. He says he wants to come back. Maybe they'll get him cheaper and they can work out Mitch. But I don't know. Something's got to change because I don't know how long those fans are going to hold off for.
Yeah, I'm just curious on if the reason I ask is because is it going to be the blame squad on Mitch Marner again come the
Yeah,
off
that's
season if
that's
they get
horseshit.
bounced in the first
Yeah.
if they get bounced in the first round? And is he going to be like, you know what, fuck this, I want to get out of here. I'm
I think
tired of.
they like Berube. I think he's an excellent coach. He's a former guy, former role player in the NHL. He's a tough dude. Great. Look what he did in St. Louis. That team was dead in the water. They ended
Yeah.
up winning the cup that year. So, uh, yeah, that would get old after a while. Playing the blame game on one guy when you got, in my opinion, I think Nylander is one of the softest dudes in the league. He's so skilled, very good player, but in the playoffs, that dude does not go near any puck on the boards. I'm sorry, and that's his brother was the same way.
Even
Yeah, they're
worse.
so skilled and everything, but the playoffs are totally different. You can't get away with that stuff. Everyone's watching.
Yeah. What about Buffalo?
Ooh, a 10-game skid. Ah, jeez, man. I know they got a visit from the owner today, a closed door meeting with the owner, and I guess the owner said he believes in the team and everybody in this room can get out of this, but it is so hard to come back from a 10-game skid. Like you got to almost win 10 in a row just to get your head above water again. It's a lot of making up to do. I
Yeah.
think they're out. I think Detroit's out. And remember the
God.
conversation we had? It was Detroit, Ottawa, and Buffalo. Who is going to
Right.
take the next
Wasn't
step?
there one more?
It's Ottawa.
Ah.
I don't. I think it was East, that division.
Okay.
Uh, it, Carolina is still. I think they're a good team, but until they figure out the goaltending situation, you got John Gibson dying away in Anaheim. Time to bring
Yeah.
that dude over. And people will take you serious. I think that they're such a good team. Coach is awesome. Hot Rod. Uh, their top six is good. Defense, Brett Burns is still a solid defenseman. I just don't know what they're doing with the goaltending. Freddie Anderson, yeah, he's good when he plays, but he always gets hurt in the playoffs. It's time. Bring in Gibson. Free Gibson from Anaheim. Get this guy a team. And I think great fit would be Carolina. At this time, even Detroit. Just save him for next year. Get him so no one else gets him type of thing. Because Detroit, I think their season's done. Nashville's obviously done. What a waste. They spent so much money this summer. And the Islanders, another team, like, what are you doing? Every year is the same thing. New York has just been a surprise. I thought the Rangers would be top with, competing with Jersey, but it could change. They're a very good team. The Rangers could get out of it, but who knows, man? It's just been a weird year.
Yeah, it has. It has been a weird year. Obviously Nashville is probably the biggest surprise for me, considering
Yeah,
the people that they signed. I think I looked at a stat the other day, and Roman Yossi I think has 26 points on the season, and is a minus 21.
that's not like a Nashville team. Those guys pride themselves on defense. It's
Right.
just not working. Sometimes that happens. You bring all the stars together, and it's like, where do I fit? Where does he fit? Like I was the man at this place, and he was the man at this place, and now, you know, it looked good in the summer. Like, oh shit, these guys are serious now. They never do this, and
Right.
I picked them to be at least third place in the Central. I did not see Minnesota. They're like the biggest surprise team for me.
Yeah.
Minnesota. Kaprizov has kind of taken over like his superstar status, and he's up at the top of the standings, and that's a surprise. The Jets, I thought they'd take a step back, and
Yeah. I did too.
there you go, 1-2, and then Colorado trades both of their goalies and brings in Mackenzie Blackwood, and I think they're going to be good. And then you got Dallas, who's like a lot of people picked them to win the cup,
Yeah.
and they're kind of like, what's going on with these guys? It's just kind of quiet. So
Yeah.
it's been a very, very weird year for sure.
I think Sagan's hurt right now.
Yeah, yeah, but he'll be back for the playoffs. Still long term.
Pulling
The
Mark
IR
Stone, huh?
yeah, they're gonna Mark Stone it. Yeah, there's
Yeah.
another guy that's another team. Vegas is quietly pretty solid too.
They
So,
are.
and look at the Kings. Like Kopitar is like
They're gonna bow out. They're gonna bow out to Edmonton just like they always do.
They're playing really good hockey right now. the Kings. I think it's going to be the Kings. It's going to be Edmonton, and Vegas will be that 1, 2, 3, and then the wild card is going to be up for grabs.
Dude, Carolina is like a slightly more competent Rangers.
Yeah, that's fair. I think they're just missing one piece: the goaltending. They got the coach, they got the GM that will kind of make the moves. He's a new GM. Aho's good. You got Jarvis, who's a superstar in the making for those guys. Good, solid defensive team game. Just need that guy to stop the puck when you need him.
Yeah,
And
and not
I
get
would
hurt.
try Gibson. Try it.
It's incredible, like Carolina's decision making with their goaltending, man. I was really surprised that they re-signed Frederick Anderson.
Yeah, and I always blank on the Russian kid Petrinkov. I forget, but he's good. But I seen him take a huge hit, and he was down. It looked like he got knocked out for a second,
Mm,
and they need a proven guy who can start. I don't know how much playoff experience Gibson has, but I've never seen him with a really solid team in front of him,
yeah.
and I've just makes you wonder, like, what if?
Do you think that he's going to be like the highest sought out possible goalie when the trade deadline comes up?
He's got to be, and you know what we were saying. Remember Colorado? Their goaltending's shit.
Yeah,
This team is too good to be 500 right now. The
right.
goaltending is awful. They traded for Wedgwood, a solid backup. Then they traded Gorgiev for Blackwood, and I didn't see that coming. I thought Mackenzie Blackwood's a good goalie. He
Yeah,
was good with New Jersey. Even San Jose, that team was like us, rebuilding and pretty much a minor league team, and he's still good. Now he's got Makar, he's got Rantanen, he's got McKinnon, he's got all these guys in front of him, Taves, and he's probably the happiest guy on earth right now. He was getting a lot of action in San Jose. Now he's on a Stanley Cup contending team, a proven winner. He's got to be so excited.
I was pretty surprised, man. I thought that they did a really good job of, taking a chance on Gorgiev if he could be that number one guy that they wanted
Yeah,
when they let Kemper go, and it didn't work out, man. It's kind of crazy, you
he
know.
had a lot of wins last year. I think he won the most wins, but yeah, the playoffs it was different. Just this year, terrible.
Yeah. Well, cool, man. What else you got?
Well, like I said, I've been watching a lot of Tampa, and I think, you know what, I think if they're healthy, the way Kucherov is playing, I think Kuch is probably right now number two best player in the league.
Mm,
We know McDavid, and I think that McKinnon and Cooch rivalry that the NHL needs to jump all over because it's awesome.
yeah.
I think Cooch is up there right now, dude. He's playing at another level. He had 6 points the other night. Tampa's just a solid team. They're my pick out of the East this year. I don't know if they're gonna finish I don't know if they're gonna finish top of their division, but I think they're gonna make some noise this year for the East. The West, I just don't know yet. I don't. I think Minnesota playing great, but it's different when you make the playoffs. It's kind of it's going to be new for them, this squad. The Jets maybe. I don't know. I think you got to keep that damn Vegas. That I think they're so battle tested too. They could surprise people. But
Yeah, they can.
out of the East, I changed my prediction to Tampa for sure.
Wow. It's
I
I
like Florida. I thought Florida could repeat. They still could, but
yeah.
right now, I see like a 2010 like Hawk team. Like
Mm,
these guys are just on a mission right now, and they walked all over Colorado a couple weeks ago, and Gorgiev was in net, but Hagel had 5 points. Everybody was scoring. It didn't even look fair out there, and that's just how they look. Most of the games I watch, it's like, geez, these guys are playing keep away, and just walking all over the team.
do you think that um do you think that Pittsburgh is in a position where they need to completely tear it down as well?
You know what? Jay Kahn said this today too on XM. A lot of teams can't do the complete teardown rebuild because they need to fill the buildings. They can't afford to lose money like that. Like St. Louis, they just traded Cam Fowler. He even said St. Louis is a team that won't ever rebuild. They retool, and maybe they're retooling with a guy who's got almost 1,000 games. It's like, okay, I get it if you bring in a young guy and you're trying to kind of change up the ages a little bit, trying to get some young blood in there with
Yeah.
some older blood. But a lot of these teams, they don't believe in the full teardown. Should they? Probably yes. Pittsburgh. But I mean, Sid signed for 3 years. I think Letang signed an extension and Malkin. So you really can't because you got these guys locked up. Uh, Bringing Carlson in at the time, I never understood that.
Yeah.
So when they traded for Carlson, they pretty much said we're not paying Jake Gensel. And Jake Gensel, look at what he's doing in Tampa. He's took over Steven Stamkos's kind of spot, and he's on pace for 50 goals this year.
What I didn't understand is that they already had a Eric Carlson type of player. Actually, they had
Yeah.
a better player in
Better,
Chris Letang.
yeah. Yep, I 100% agree. I don't know why you bring in two of the same players. One guy's going to lose power play time because of it, and it's just going to hurt him. He had a good season with San Jose that year. He won the Norris Trophy. I don't agree that a defenseman that's minus 3,000 should get the Norris Trophy, but he did because it's all about points. And I think that award's kind of turning into a joke. I think they need to make a solid two-way defenseman award, like a guy who plays defense in his own end and cares about that, not rushing the puck out and getting that stretch pass and just racking up points. That's not defense.
Yeah, I think Quinn Hughes was pretty deserving last year, though.
Oh, hell yeah. Quinn Hughes is a stud. I told you I watched a game of him last week. I felt like he never left the ice. This dude was on the ice like Duncan Keith back in the day.
Right.
And, him, Adam Fox, Victor Hedman, Cale Makar, they put up numbers, but they're really good in their own zone, too. That's what makes a good defenseman.
Yeah.
I never saw that in Erik Karlsson.
Yeah, I mean, he was just a even when the San Jose Sharks were playing a really bad Blackhawks team, I think every point that we scored, it was while he was on the ice.
Yeah, that's the thing. He'll put up numbers, but he's also responsible for goals against too. And
Yeah.
a lot of it's some of the bad pinches he'll make or just bad turnovers, and he leaves his other defensive partner out to dry. So, yeah, I've never been a fan. I remember we got into it with a guy like right when we started our podcast. I
Oh,
said
yeah.
I'll take Nicholas Jarmelson over
Yeah.
him all day. He laughed in my face, but it's funny because that Jay Fresh guy made a thing about Jarmelson. He was one of the best stay-at-home defensemen in the era of the last 25 years of all the analytics and stuff.
Right. The
And I said,
analytic era.
okay, that's all I needed to hear.
Yeah, I mean, just watching him, he was one of the best shutdown guys. He was one of the best shutdown guys of the past 25 years.
Shot blocker, just steady, get the puck out, get it to the red line, get it in, and do your job. That's all it was. And the guy was a warrior. That number 4 should and will be retired one day.
Yeah, I
Sorry,
have a problem.
Seth.
I have a problem with Seth even wearing it, man.
Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
because I thought that it was cool that Lucas Reichel changed his number from 27 to 73 this year. Clearly, the Blackhawks are saying, hey, this number's off limits. 19 is clearly off limits. 88 is clearly off limits. Nobody's wearing number 2.
No.
And I think that Seth should say, hey, you know what? You had a great player that played here. He wore number 4. I'll wear 44. Patrick Poulin
Well,
will not be upset.
Patrick, in Chicago Brush Line, he wants 33 not touched either because that's his boy Dirk Graham just because of that beautiful stash.
That
The
stash?
junkyard dog.
Hey, that's an honorable mention right there.
Yeah, he was a good captain here, though.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
He was only a captain for what, 3 years though?
Yeah, Mike Keenan absolutely loved him as captain too. I think he took the C from Savvy and he slapped it on Dirk Graham.
Oh, no kidding.
I think that was in his book. Yeah, he got tired of Savvy's his antics of wanting to do what he wanted, and he smoked in between periods and stuff, and
Yeah.
he's like, just we can never get it to work together, and he would be pissy and stuff. So he threw it on Dirk Graham, and he just looked like a captain.
Yeah, he
Just that
did.
whole demeanor around him. I enjoyed watching him when I could. I actually met him, and very nice guy too. Super down to earth. Signed my jersey as a kid.
No
That
kidding.
stash was just Tom Selleck-y, man. It looked good, really good.
Maybe you can pull off that stash.
No, no, no. I got the Al Qaeda look going on, and I'm never gonna get at that level. No, maybe another 30 years, it's gonna start turning gray and falling out. So, I'll never be at that guy's level. He's a stud.
Yeah, no kidding, man. Well, all right, everybody. That's all that we got for you today. We want to thank you for listening and jumping on the or listening to the podcast and our live. We appreciate it. We'll probably be doing this live as we do our podcast, just because it's fun and it gives people on X to kind of do the video thing. We've been kind of staying away from doing video, but I don't know. It's fun. Thank you for listening. If you're a long time listener, thank you for being a long time listener. And you guys take it easy. This is the Tomahawk. We're out of here. Cool, man. 46 minutes.
63 views.
Yeah.